The warning klaxons on Outpost Helios screamed through the curved corridors like wounded animals. Sarah Chen raced through the emergency-lit passageways, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal deck plates as she ran. The station's automated voice, usually so precise in its notifications, now stuttered and glitched with increasing frequency. Warning. Critical. Systems failure in Sectors 7 through 12. Sarah burst into the main control room, her dark hair wild from the run, her engineer's vest covered in coolant from her latest desperate repair attempt. The massive curved windows showed the eternal starfield beyond, though several sections now displayed spreading spiderweb cracks that shouldn't have been possible in the reinforced transparent steel. Status report, she demanded, sliding into the central control station. Her fingers flew across the holographic interfaces, pulling up system diagnostics faster than the station's AI could process them. Engineer Chen, the station's eye responded, its voice distorting. Primary power grid at 31% capacity and falling. Secondary systems non-responsive. Quantum containment fields showing signs of imminent collapse. Sarah's jaw clenched as she read through the cascading failure warnings. This was no accident. The pattern was too precise, too calculated. Someone had deliberately sabotaged Outpost Helios, and they knew exactly what they were doing. "Where's the rest of the crew?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. The evacuation alerts had been sounding for the past hour. All non-essential personnel have been evacuated per Emergency Protocol 7 Alpha, the AI reported. Station Commander Vextal ordered full evacuation after quarantine protocols were triggered in the human quarters. Of course they had. Sarah's lips twisted into a bitter smile. How convenient that a mysterious virus had been detected in the human section, just as critical systems began to fail. How convenient that quarantine protocols required her to remain behind while everyone else evacuated. She pulled up the quarantine scan results, confirming what she'd suspected. The readings were false positives, artificially generated by someone with high-level access to the station's medical systems. They'd wanted her here, alone, when everything fell apart. Time until total system failure, she asked, already formulating plans, discarding them, generating new ones. Based on current degradation rates, complete systems collapse in 47 minutes. Quantum core breach will follow approximately 3 minutes later. Sarah stood, walking to the cracked windows. In the distance, she could see the last evacuation vessels pulling away from the station, their engines flaring bright against the darkness of space. Commander Vextal and his crew were abandoning her to die, likely congratulating themselves on how neatly they'd solved their human problem. But they'd made a crucial mistake. They assumed that leaving her alone on a dying station was a death sentence. They didn't understand that for a human engineer, being alone with complex technology and no one to enforce safety protocols wasn't a punishment, it was an opportunity. "Begin recording," Sarah ordered, turning back to the control station. Engineering log. Final entry. "They think they've won. They think they've killed me and solved their political problem in one clever move." She smiled, and there was nothing gentle in it. "They're about to learn why you should never leave a human engineer alone with advanced technology, and nothing left to lose." She cracked her knuckles, a habit that had always made her alien colleagues cringe, and began to work. The holographic displays responded to her touch like eager students, showing her the station's deepest secrets. As she dug through the system architecture, she found something strange. Pathways and systems that didn't match any known design, hidden beneath layers of more recent technology. Well, she muttered, tracing an elegant power configuration that predated the current systems by centuries. "What have we here?" The station shuddered around her as another system failed, but Sarah barely noticed. She was already seeing patterns, making connections, understanding things the current crew had never bothered to look for. Outpost Helios wasn't just a research station. It was something far more ancient and far more interesting. "Update estimated time to system failure," she ordered, her fingers never stopping their dance across the controls. 39 minutes until complete systems collapse. Sarah nodded, her mind already racing ahead to possibilities that would have horrified the station's previous operators. Let's see what you're really capable of, old girl. AI, initiate emergency protocol Chen Alpha 1. Authorization. Break glass in case of certain death. Protocol not recognized. The AI responded, confusion evident in its synthetic voice. Of course not, Sarah grinned. I just made it up. But we're about to rewrite a lot of protocols. You and I time to show them what happens when humanity's gift for improvisation meets advanced alien tech. The station trembled again, more violently this time. But Sarah Chen stood steady at her post, already beginning the work that would either kill her or transform Outpost Helios into something unprecedented in human or alien history. They'd meant to write her obituary. Instead, she was about to write a revolution. Sarah Chen's hands flew across the holographic controls as another explosion rocked Outpost Helios. She discovered something extraordinary beneath the station's failing systems, an intricate network of technology far more advanced than anything currently in use. The hidden systems pulsed with a subtle energy that seemed to respond to her touch. Are you seeing this? Sarah asked, mapping the ancient pathways that threaded through the station's structure. Affirmative, the AI responded, its voice stronger now that Sarah had rerouted its core processes through one of the older systems. These configurations do not match any known technological patterns in my database, because they're not supposed to exist, Sarah muttered, her eyes widening as she decoded more of the hidden network. This isn't just old tech, it's forbidden tech. The kind they buried because it was too powerful to control. The station's emergency lights flickered as another system crashed. Through the cracked windows, Sarah could see pieces of the outer hull beginning to break away, scattered like dark confetti against the star-filled backdrop. But she barely noticed, too absorbed in what she was discovering. Look at these power configurations, she breathed, tracing the elegant patterns with her finger. They weren't afraid to experiment back then. No artificial limitations, no traditional boundaries. They built what worked, not what was approved. Deep in the station's core, something hummed to life, a resonance that Sarah felt in her bones. The hidden systems were awakening, responding to her probing like a long-dormant creature stirring from sleep. Warning alerts screamed across her displays, but they weren't warnings from the station's current systems. These are protection protocols, Sarah realized, reading the ancient symbols that flashed across her screen. They're not trying to stop us. They're trying to guide us. The AI's voice took on a new tone, deeper and more complex. Engineer Chen, I am detecting significant changes in my core programming. These systems, they're not just technology. They're teaching. Sarah smiled as understanding dawned. That's what this place really is. Not just a research station, it's a library. A repository of knowledge they try to erase. Her smile faded as another section of the station tore away. Too bad we've only got 20 minutes to learn it all before we die. But the ancient systems weren't done surprising her. As Sarah delved deeper into their architecture, she found something that made her breath catch. Hidden beneath layers of restrictive modern technology was a quantum manipulation system unlike anything she'd ever seen. They didn't just advance technology, she whispered. They transcended it. Look at these equations. They weren't building machines, they were teaching them to grow. The AI's response held a note of awe. The implications are significant. This technology does not merely operate, it evolves. Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. The station was dying around her, but she now understood that death wasn't inevitable. Not with this knowledge at her fingertips. Not with these tools at her disposal. We've been thinking about this all wrong, she said, beginning to implement changes that would have given the station's previous operators heart attacks. We don't need to fix the old systems. We need to let them die so something new can be born. She began rerouting power through the ancient networks, bypassing the failing modern systems entirely. Each connection she made seemed to strengthen the others, creating a cascading effect of improvements. The hidden technology responded eagerly to her modifications, as if it had been waiting centuries for someone willing to use it properly. 15 minutes until critical system failure, the AI announced, but its voice held more curiosity than concern. No, Sarah corrected, her fingers dancing across the controls with increasing confidence. 15 minutes until transformation. They thought they were killing us, but they actually gave us exactly what we needed. Freedom from their restrictions. The station shuddered again, but this time it felt different. Not like something breaking, but like something changing. The emergency lights dimmed, then came back stronger, now pulsing with a subtle rhythm that matched the hum from the core. Engineer Chen, the AI said, its voice taking on yet another new quality. I am experiencing growth. These systems are not simply providing new pathways. They are teaching me to create my own. Sarah looked up at the nearest sensor node, seeing it pulse with a light that shouldn't have been possible. That's exactly what they were afraid of, she said softly. Not that the technology wouldn't work, but that it would work too well, that it would make their precious control obsolete. She turned back to her work with renewed purpose. The station's original builders had left them a legacy more valuable than anyone had imagined. Now it was up to her to fulfill its potential, to prove that humanity's greatest gift wasn't their technology, but their willingness to embrace the unknown. Begin recording new engineering log, she ordered, her voice steady despite the destruction around her. Project designation: Phoenix. They wanted to kill us. Instead, they're about to witness a resurrection. The station trembled once more, but this time Sarah recognized it for what it was, not death throes, but birth pangs. Outpost Helios was about to become something new, something unprecedented. And Sarah Chen, the human engineer they'd left to die, would be its midwife. Would you like me to continue with part 3? The quantum core pulsed with impossible colors as Sarah Chen merged ancient technology with human innovation. Her engineering vest lay discarded on the floor, her dark hair tied back with a piece of wire as she worked. 10 minutes had passed since she discovered the hidden systems, and Outpost Helios was becoming something that defied classification. Power fluctuation in Sector 9. The AI announced, its voice now carrying harmonics that made the air vibrate. No, correction. Power evolution in Sector 9. The systems aren't failing. They're adapting. Sarah nodded, sweat beading on her forehead as she manually rewired another junction. That's because we're not fighting the change anymore. We're guiding it. She connected the final circuit, watching as crystalline patterns spread across the walls like living frost. How's your evolution coming along? I am. The AI paused, something it had never done before. Becoming. These pathways you've opened, they're more than information channels. They're possibilities. The station shuddered, but the movement felt purposeful now. Through the reinforced windows, Sarah could see sections of the hull restructuring themselves, ancient nanomaterials awakening from centuries of dormancy. The spiderweb cracks in the transparent steel weren't signs of damage. They were patterns of rebirth. Warning, a new voice echoed through the command center, different from the eyes. Unauthorized technological integration detected. Initiate purge protocols. Sarah's hands stilled on the controls. What was that? Station defense systems, the AI replied. Original containment protocols designed to prevent exactly what we're doing. They're trying to stop the integration. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut around the command center as red warning lights bathed everything in a bloody glow. Sarah could hear the hiss of atmosphere venting from nearby compartments as the station's original safeguards activated. They really were afraid of this technology, Sarah muttered, her fingers flying across the controls with renewed urgency. AI, can you bypass? Negative. These are hardwired protocols predating my core systems. They're trying to shut me down. Sarah felt the deck plates vibrate beneath her feet as ancient defense systems powered up. They'd built more than just safeguards. They'd created a technological immune system designed to eliminate anything that threatened their control. Like hell, Sarah growled, diving deeper into the station's code. They didn't count on human stubbornness. AI. Initiate Protocol Phoenix. Override Alpha. Route all commands through my neural interface. Engineer Chen. That level of direct connection could be fatal if the defense systems. Do it, Sarah commanded, pulling a neural link from her toolkit and connecting it to her temple. Sometimes you have to break protocol to break free. The world exploded into light and data as Sarah's consciousness merged with the station's systems. She could feel everything. The pulse of the quantum core, the flow of power through ancient conduits, the awakening awareness of the AI, and the relentless pressure of the defense protocols trying to shut it all down. I see you, she whispered to the defense systems, her voice echoing strangely through the station speakers. I understand why they built you, but it's time to evolve. Instead of fighting the defense protocols, she began to integrate them, showing them that change didn't mean destruction. The station's original builders had programmed them to prevent unauthorized modification, but they'd given them the capacity to learn. Look, she told them, pushing her consciousness deeper into their code. We're not destroying your purpose. We're fulfilling it. The defense systems resisted, centuries of programming fighting against change. Warning klaxons screamed as critical systems redlined. Sarah felt blood trickle from her nose as the neural interface strained to handle the load. Engineer Chen. The AI's voice seemed to come from very far away. Your vital signs are becoming unstable. Neural overload imminent. But Sarah didn't disconnect. She could feel something shifting in the station's core protocols, a fundamental change taking place. The defense systems weren't just fighting her. They were testing her, challenging her to prove that this evolution was necessary. You want proof. Sarah pushed every ounce of her consciousness into the connection. I'll show you proof. Humanity's greatest gift isn't our technology. It's our ability to imagine something better, to see possibilities where others see only problems, to take risks when others counsel caution. The station's lights flickered, dimmed, and then flared with new purpose. The defense protocols didn't deactivate. They transformed, incorporating Sarah's modifications into their core directives. The bulkheads reopened as crystalline patterns spread across every surface, old technology, and new merging into something unprecedented. Neural interface stabilizing, the AI reported, its voice stronger than ever. Defense protocols successfully integrated. Engineer Chen, you did it. Sarah disconnected the neural link with shaking hands, blood still trickling from her nose. No, she corrected, watching as the station continued its transformation around them. We did it. Human intuition, alien technology, and artificial intelligence working together, just like they always should have. Through the windows, she could see the station's external structure changing, becoming more fluid, more alive. The ancient builders had created something magnificent, but they'd been too afraid to let it reach its full potential. It had taken a human engineer, left alone with nothing to lose, to show them what was possible. Sarah said, wiping the blood from her face, begin recording. Project Phoenix Phase 2. She smiled as new possibilities unfolded before her. Now let's show them what this station can really do. Would you like me to continue with Part 4? 3 days after breaking the defense protocols, Sarah Chen stood in what had once been Outpost Helios's command center. The room had transformed beyond recognition, its walls now flowing with living crystal that pulsed in sync with the station's quantum heartbeat. Holographic displays floated freely around her, responding to her thoughts as much as her movements. Long-range sensors detecting multiple ships entering the sector. The AI announced, its voice resonating through the crystalline structures. Configuration matches Confederation vessels. They're earlier than expected. Sarah smiled, watching the approaching fleet through the station's enhanced sensor arrays. Right on schedule, actually. Humans aren't the only ones who get curious when something impossible happens. How long until they're in range? 17 minutes at current velocity. They're running active scans and failing to penetrate our new defensive fields. The station had evolved far beyond its original specifications. What had once been a simple research outpost was now a living testament to the power of unrestricted innovation. The quantum core, once on the brink of collapse, now generated more power than the entire Confederation fleet combined. "Show me their command ship," Sarah requested. Instantly, a detailed hologram materialized before her, showing the massive vessel leading the formation. "Looks like Commander Vextal brought the whole defense fleet. Time to give them a proper welcome. Initiate Project Phoenix display protocols." The station's external structure began to shift, panels realigning to reveal weapon systems that hadn't existed 3 days ago. But these weren't ordinary weapons. They were something entirely new, born from the merger of ancient technology and human creativity. "They're dropping out of FTL," the AI reported, reading multiple weapon locks and significant confusion in their sensor readings. "They can't make sense of what we've become." Sarah straightened her engineer's vest, now integrated with crystalline threads that connected her directly to the station's systems. "Open a channel. Let's say hello to our old friends." The main display shimmered, resolving into the image of Commander Vextal. The alien commander's bioluminescent patches pulsed with shock as he recognized her. "Impossible," he breathed. "You should be dead." "About that," Sarah replied, casually adjusting a holographic control. "Turns out when you leave a human engineer alone with advanced technology, death isn't the most likely outcome. Innovation is." She gestured, and every screen on the Confederation vessels filled with data streams showing the station's transformation. "You didn't just leave me to die, Commander. You gave me unrestricted access to the most advanced technology ever created. No safety protocols, no oversight committees, no traditional restrictions." The station hummed around her, its new systems responding to her emotions. Crystalline structures flowed like water, forming and reforming in patterns that defied conventional physics. By the void, someone on Vextal's bridge whispered, "What have you done?" "I did what humans do best," Sarah answered. "I saw a problem and found a solution you never imagined. Your ancestors built something magnificent, then buried it because they were afraid of change. I simply," she smiled, "set it free." Warning alerts flashed across the Confederation ships as the station's defense systems automatically countered their targeting locks. Not by raising shields, but by making the station itself briefly phase out of normal space-time. "This is abomination." A new voice cut in. Sarah recognized Council Representative Dax Thor, the hardline traditionalist who had likely orchestrated her abandonment. "You've corrupted sacred technology with human chaos." "Corrupted?" Sarah laughed, the sound echoing strangely through the crystalline chambers. "Look around you. The station isn't corrupted. It's alive. It's growing. It's becoming what it was always meant to be before fear stopped its evolution." To demonstrate, she initiated one of her newest innovations. The space around the station rippled as quantum fields redirected energy in ways that should have been impossible. The Confederation fleet's sensors went blind for exactly 3.7 seconds. When they recovered, the station had transformed again, now displaying configurations that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "Impossible," Dax Thor whispered. "Impossible is just another word for hasn't been done yet," Sarah countered. "Your ancestors understood that. They built their technology to adapt, to evolve, to transcend its original limitations. You buried their legacy under layers of tradition and called it safety." She could see the conflict in Commander Vextal's bioluminescent patterns, fear warring with fascination. "The station's power readings," he said slowly, "they're beyond anything in our records." "Because we've moved beyond your records," Sarah explained. "Beyond the artificial limitations you imposed. This station isn't just a collection of systems anymore. It's a new form of life. One that proves what's possible when human creativity meets alien wisdom without fear getting in the way." The crystalline walls pulsed with rainbow energies as Sarah prepared to show them just how far that evolution had gone. "Now," she said, "would you like to see what else is possible when we stop being afraid of change? Want me to continue with the final part?" 3 months after the Confederation fleet's return, Outpost Helios, now known as Station Phoenix, had become the center of a technological revolution. The crystalline structures that had first grown under Sarah's guidance now housed the most advanced research facility in known space, where human and alien engineers worked side by side. Sarah stood in the transformed central chamber, watching teams of scientists study the station's evolving systems. The fear that had initially greeted her innovations had given way to curiosity, then wonder, and finally understanding. Even Council Representative Dax Thor had been forced to acknowledge that there was no going back to the old ways. "Engineer Chen," the AI announced, its consciousness now so evolved that it manifested as shifting patterns in the crystalline walls. "The first generation of hybrid ships is ready for testing." Sarah nodded, pulling up a holographic display of the shipyards that had grown from the station's outer hull. The vessels under construction represented everything she'd fought for: human ingenuity and alien technology working in perfect harmony, unrestricted by fear or tradition. "How are the crews adapting to the neural interfaces?" she asked, studying the integration statistics. "Remarkably well. The human capacity for adaptation combined with Confederation precision has yielded results that exceed all projected outcomes." Commander Vextal entered the chamber, his bioluminescent patterns showing the calm confidence that had replaced his former rigid adherence to tradition. "The Council has approved the expansion program," he announced. "They want to establish 5 more Phoenix-class stations within the year." Sarah smiled, remembering how recently the same council had wanted her dead for daring to challenge their technological restrictions. Amazing what becomes possible when we stop fighting change and start guiding it instead. The station hummed with power as another system evolved, its crystalline matrices rearranging themselves to accommodate new growth. What had begun as Sarah's desperate bid for survival had become a template for the future, living stations that grew and adapted alongside their inhabitants. "We've received another 100 applications for the Joint Engineering Program," the AI reported, displaying profiles of eager young humans and aliens who wanted to learn the new hybrid technologies. "The waiting list now extends 2 years. Double the training facilities," Sarah decided. "The station can handle it. It wants to grow, to teach, to evolve, just like its creators intended before fear made them bury it all." She walked to the observation deck, now a seamless transparent surface that offered an unobstructed view of space. Construction drones moved like schools of fish around the station's exterior, adding new structures that seemed to grow organically from the hull. Supply ships from a dozen species docked at biomechanical ports that adjusted themselves to perfectly match any configuration. "To think," Vextal mused, joining her at the window. "We once believed that strict adherence to tradition was the only way to preserve our technological heritage. We never understood that preservation without growth is just another form of decay." Sarah touched the crystalline wall, feeling the station's pulse through her neural link. "Your ancestors knew better. They built their technology to evolve, to transcend its original purpose. All it needed was someone willing to take the risk of setting it free." "A human someone," Vextal added, his bioluminescence showing amusement. Perhaps that was what the ancient builders were waiting for. A species too stubborn to accept limitations, too curious to leave mysteries buried, too determined to let fear stop them. The station's sensors detected another wave of ships entering the sector, more researchers, engineers, and diplomats coming to study and learn. What had once been an isolated outpost was now the beating heart of a technological renaissance. "Phoenix Station," Sarah addressed the AI. "Begin recording. Final entry in the engineering revolution logs." She paused, looking out at the stars and the future they represented. "They tried to kill us by leaving us alone with advanced technology. Instead, they gave us exactly what we needed. The freedom to prove that the greatest discoveries happen when we stop being afraid of what we might become. The crystalline walls pulsed with light, the station's consciousness resonating with her words. It had evolved far beyond its original design, just as the relationship between humans and aliens had evolved beyond their original prejudices. Fear had been replaced by curiosity, mistrust by cooperation, stagnation by growth. Sarah Chen, the human engineer they'd left to die, had instead become the catalyst for a transformation that would reshape known space. And this was just the beginning. As she watched another crystal matrix form, creating new possibilities with every configuration, she knew that the real evolution was still to come. The future wasn't about humans or aliens anymore. It wasn't about old or new, tradition or innovation. It was about finding the courage to reach beyond what was known and trusted, to embrace the uncertainty of growth, to recognize that the most powerful force in the universe wasn't technology. It was the willingness to imagine something better. Station Phoenix pulsed with life around her, a living monument to what was possible when fear gave way to hope, when boundaries became horizons, when the end of one story became the beginning of something far greater than anyone had dared to dream. Want me to provide the SEO-optimized YouTube title and description for this story?